Section 1. The sound that woke me wasn't loud. It was deliberate. 3 slow footsteps crossed the floor above my head, even though I was supposed to be the only person inside the house. For years, I've tried to convince myself there had to be a reasonable explanation for what happened that night. The police searched every room. They found nothing. My parents still believe it was just bad timing and an unlocked door. I wish I believed that too. I was 27 years old, living alone in a quiet rural town in Virginia. My house sat only a couple of blocks from my parents' place, close enough that my mother could walk over whenever she wanted. Unfortunately, she did exactly that. My parents were both in their 60s, and my mother had become increasingly forgetful over the past year. The doctors called it mild dementia, but to me it mostly meant she worried about everything. If I stayed out too late, she'd convince herself I'd crashed my car or gotten hurt somewhere. I'd given her a spare key years earlier, never imagining it would become part of our daily routine. More than once I'd stumble home after a night with friends only to find her sitting quietly on my couch, waiting with a worried smile. "You scared me," she'd say every single time. Friends always asked why I didn't simply take the key away. It wasn't that easy. She wasn't controlling or manipulative. She was gentle, kind, and genuinely terrified something bad would happen to me. Looking into her anxious eyes, I could never bring myself to argue. That Saturday had been ordinary. A group of old college friends met at the only nightclub our little town had. Nothing exciting ever happened there, but it was somewhere to escape for a few hours. By the time I decided to leave, it was nearly 2 in the morning. The streets were empty as I walked home beneath scattered clouds drifting across the moon. The night air carried the smell of damp earth from the nearby fields, and the silence was broken only by insects and the distant bark of a dog. I remember feeling relaxed. I had no idea I was walking toward the most terrifying night of my life. Section 2. The porch light cast a dull yellow glow across the front steps as I climbed onto the stoop. I reached into my pocket for my keys, still feeling the effects of a few drinks. But before I could unlock the door, my hand stopped. The doorknob turned. The door wasn't locked. I sighed to myself. Mom was here again. It wasn't unusual. She often stopped by to tidy up the kitchen or leave leftovers from dinner, convinced I wasn't taking proper care of myself. I quietly stepped inside, closed the door behind me, and locked it. The house was completely still. I dropped my keys onto the kitchen counter and immediately noticed a small handwritten note resting beside a box of half-eaten cake. Asterisk, you forgot this at our house. Asterisk, the handwriting belonged to my mother without question. I couldn't help smiling for a second. It was exactly the kind of thing she'd do. Thanks, Mom, I muttered to the empty room. She wasn't downstairs, which wasn't surprising either. Sometimes, if she thought I'd be home soon, she'd wait upstairs in the guest bedroom rather than walking back through the neighborhood alone in the middle of the night. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow, heavy, deliberate. They crossed the floor directly above me. I rolled my eyes. Seriously? I whispered. Almost 3 in the morning, and she was still waiting up for me like I was a teenager. I headed toward the staircase, expecting to find her asleep in the guest room. The old wooden steps creaked beneath my weight as I climbed. Every sound seemed unusually loud in the otherwise silent house. I pushed open the guest room door. The bed was perfectly made. Empty. I checked the hallway bathroom. Nothing. My bedroom. Nothing. Every room upstairs was silent. A strange feeling settled into my stomach. Maybe she'd become confused again. Her memory had been getting worse recently, and sometimes she'd wander without remembering why she'd gone somewhere. Trying not to panic, I hurried back downstairs and grabbed the house phone. My hands suddenly felt colder than they should have. After 4 rings, my father answered, his voice thick with sleep. "What on earth is going on? Dad, is Mom there?" A brief silence followed. Then he replied with words that instantly drained every bit of warmth from my body. "What are you talking about? She's asleep beside me." At that exact moment, another slow footstep echoed from the darkness upstairs. Section 3. Every muscle in my body locked in place. I gripped the phone so tightly that my fingers began to ache. For a second, I couldn't even answer my father. My eyes stayed fixed on the staircase while my mind desperately searched for an explanation that made sense. "Dad," I whispered, barely able to breathe. "I just heard someone walking upstairs." "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice suddenly alert. "Is your mother there? You just said she's with you." I know what I said. The silence that followed felt unbearable. Then, almost without thinking, I slowly turned my head toward the staircase. The kitchen light reached only partway into the hallway, leaving the upper landing buried in darkness. The shadows swallowed nearly everything beyond the top step. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Then I saw movement. Something shifted behind the corner at the end of the upstairs hallway. A human head. It appeared only a few inches at first, just enough for someone to look around the corner. No face, no details, just the unmistakable outline of a person silently watching me from the darkness. It never spoke. It never moved farther into the light. It simply stared. A surge of terror rushed through me so suddenly that my entire body reacted before my mind could. I screamed into the phone and stumbled backward, nearly falling as I rushed toward the front door. "Dad, someone's in my house." "What happened?" he shouted. "There's someone upstairs." I threw the deadbolt open with shaking hands, yanked the door wide, and sprinted into the cold night without looking back. Gravel scattered beneath my shoes as I ran down the empty street, still clutching the phone against my ear. My breathing echoed louder than anything around me. Every instinct told me not to stop, not to turn around, not even for a second. My father kept talking, trying to calm me while asking where I was, but his voice sounded distant beneath the pounding of my heartbeat. About halfway to my parents' house, he finally said, "Stay where people can see you. I'm calling the police." The line went dead. I kept running. When I reached my parents' front porch, the door flew open before I could knock. My mother was already standing there. She looked frightened, confused, and she had clearly just been awakened from bed. Section 4. My mother rushed toward me before I could say a word. She wrapped her arms around me, asking over and over what had happened. I could barely answer. My lungs burned from the sprint, and my heart was pounding so hard that it felt like it was trying to break through my ribs. I saw someone. I finally managed to say. There was somebody inside my house. She looked at me with complete confusion. "I was there earlier," she said softly. "I cleaned your kitchen a little. You'd left such a mess." She gave an apologetic smile that quickly faded. "And I brought over that cake your father and I didn't want. I left you a note." Everything she described matched exactly what I'd found. "But when did you leave?" I asked. "A little after midnight," she replied. "I came straight home." My father appeared from behind her, already pulling on a jacket while speaking with the emergency dispatcher. Within minutes, the flashing red and blue lights of 2 police cruisers illuminated the quiet street, turning the peaceful neighborhood into a scene that felt completely unreal. The officers listened carefully as I explained everything, from finding the unlocked door and my mother's note to the footsteps upstairs and the shadowy head peering around the corner. One officer nodded thoughtfully. "If someone entered after your mother left, there's a chance they're still inside." Those words sent another chill through me. The officers instructed my parents and me to remain outside while they approached the house. One stayed with us while the other 2 entered with flashlights drawn, announcing themselves loudly as they cleared each room. The minutes crawled by. Every creak of the old house seemed amplified in the silence. I found myself staring at the upstairs windows, half expecting to see that same dark outline appear behind the glass. Nothing happened. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. Finally, the front door opened. The officers stepped outside. "We've checked every room," one of them said. "The attic, the crawl space, closets, bathrooms, everything." He paused before continuing. "We didn't find anyone." The words should have been comforting. Instead, they left me with an even more disturbing question. If nobody had been there, then who had been watching me from the top of those stairs? Section 5. The officers stayed a little longer, taking one final look around the property before assuring us there was nothing else they could do. They asked if anything had been stolen, if there were signs of forced entry, or if I had noticed anything unusual besides the footsteps and the figure at the top of the stairs. I couldn't give them much. The only things I knew for certain were that my mother's note had been sitting on the kitchen counter exactly where she'd left it, the box of leftover cake was untouched, and the front door had been unlocked when I arrived home. There were no broken windows, no damaged locks, and no evidence that someone had forced their way inside. One officer offered the explanation that made the most sense. "If your mother forgot to lock the door when she left, someone may have wandered in, heard you come home, and slipped back out before we got here." It sounded reasonable, but it didn't explain the feeling that someone had been standing there, watching me in complete silence, without making the slightest effort to hide until the very last second. That night, I refused to go back inside my house. Instead, I stayed at my parents' home, lying awake in my childhood bedroom while every small sound outside seemed unnaturally loud. Wind brushed against the windows. Tree branches scraped the siding. Every noise made me wonder if someone was still out there, or worse, if they'd never actually left. The next morning, my father and I returned to the house together. We searched every room again ourselves, opening every closet, checking beneath beds, shining flashlights into the attic and crawl space. We found nothing. Eventually, we came to the same conclusion the police had. My mother's memory had been getting noticeably worse over the previous months, and it was entirely possible she'd forgotten to lock the front door after dropping off the cake and cleaning the kitchen. From that day on, my father insisted she no longer walk to my house alone. It broke my heart because I knew she only ever came over out of love. Years have passed since that night. I still live in that same house. Most evenings feel perfectly ordinary, but every now and then, usually long after midnight, I'll catch myself staring toward the top of the staircase before turning off the lights. And every single time, the same thought quietly slips into my mind. What if the person I saw that night never really left and simply found a better place to hide?